All right. Welcome back to another episode of Clutch Businesses. This is the Clutch Businesses, or I guess another episode of Totally Clutch, which is a Clutch Businesses podcast and vlog. And I'm your host, Angie Veman. And today I'm super excited. And I'm super excited for a couple of different reasons. One, we have an amazing guest that I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from and learning more about. And the second thing is that we are trying a new format. So historically, we've done, kind of I guess, a mix of kind of tactical episodes where we're talking specifically about how to do certain things, how to implement certain things in your business. And we've done interviews and, interviews with amazing business owners and entrepreneurs to share their experience and insight along with their services. And today we are kind of, I guess, maybe combining the two of those things and really playing into the heart of what we do at Clutch Businesses, which is work on streamlining and automating businesses to create efficiencies so that life gets a little bit easier for you and your team. And hopefully, you get to make a little bit more, not a little bit, you get to make a lot more money doing what you love and actually get to love what you do again. And so the promise that we make to our clients is that they will get 30% of their time back, that they will not have to increase their expenses as a result of the work that we do, that their customers will have a greater experience doing business with them and get more benefit from doing business with them, and that they as owners will be more fulfilled so that they'll kind of find their way back to that place that they were early on in their business where they were excited and thriving and just had a ton of energy to put towards it. And you might feel or that you are kind of skirting the burnout area right now. And so the idea is to make things again easier for them and their team, you and your team, and get you back to that place where you're loving life. So today what we're going to do is try out something new where our guest Megan Lawrence has generously offered to kind of peel back the curtain of her business and talk to us about some of the challenges that she's had. So even though her business is successful, even though your business is successful, there are still challenges that we face every single day and things that we wish were a little different than they are. And so we're going to hear about those challenges and then work through them live using, the tools and the strategies that we have in our business. So hopefully you'll be able to learn some things, walk away with some things that you can implement in your business as well. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Megan Lawrence. And Megan is the owner of Megan Lawrence Cooks. And this is a small food and residential hospitality business that has allowed her to gain tons of experience providing fine dining experiences within people's homes, but also at special events across the country. And she gets to cook and create really delicious meals and really incredible food. And ultimately what she does is allow the hosts of these events to enjoy themselves at their events and enjoy their time with their guests. And if that doesn't sound amazing, I don't know what does. And so there's all of that amazingness there, and yet she still struggles to really convey the value of what she does and the work that she does, and finds that she loses customers, loses clients because her prices, she has a tough time justifying those. So we are going to talk about all of that today. And with that, I would like to welcome Megan to the show. Welcome.
Hi, Angie. How
Yeah,
are
thanks
you?
for being here. I'm so great. I am really, really excited. I mean, I
Me
feel like
too. Me
a
too.
little pressure, but yeah, I think it's going to be
Well,
great.
thank you
So,
for having
Megan,
me.
yeah, of course. And, thanks for being, so this is the first time that we're doing this. And I just really appreciate you kind of being I guess, the guinea pig of this. And
Sure.
so,
No, I mean,
yeah,
I love a new format.
good, good. Yeah. So to get us started, do you want to tell us a bit more about what you do and your background and kind of how you came to be doing this
Sure.
work?
Sure. Well, I started loving food and cooking at a really young age. I'm from a beautiful area in the country, the Berkshires of Western Massachusetts. And you could say that my parents were sort of the hippie generation. So at a young age, I started going to school in a school where one of the things we did was cook our own lunch. And I became very comfortable at a young age in the kitchen and being around food and understanding the basics of cooking. Fast forward, I didn't go into that field whatsoever in terms of my education and later education and initial work. Got a degree in history and women's studies and found myself with a restaurant job for many, many years. Now, at that time in New York City, that wasn't such a bad gig, and it lasted for a while until I finally was up against the truth, my truth that, I'm not really cut out to necessarily work for other people, and entrepreneurship was my future. So I took the experience that I'd gained working in restaurants and working in fine dining in front of the house service and sort of melted it in with my love. You'll find I use a lot of cooking terms. So melted, there's the first one. In with my love of cooking that I'd always had and sort of my natural ability for it and my skill level, which is already sort of a little bit above and beyond what most people have. But I started to develop that side more and brought them together in a way that I think works for me and I've been successful at for the most part, for the better part of 8 or 9 years. And I provide lovely fine dining services in people's homes or at venues of their choosing on sort of a boutique level. Very special experiences are what I like to cultivate for people.
That's amazing. Yeah, what a special, I love that, that is your truth. I love that you found that, and what a special experience for you and for the people that you're cooking for.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so great. Okay, so let's dive right in. Can you tell us a bit about the challenge that you're having in terms of, yeah, in terms of finding clients and booking them?
So I would say the challenge that I'm facing now is sort of where I have valued myself versus where the market is versus what people's expectations are, and finding good language to sort of convey that I'm not just a chef that comes in and sort of dirties your kitchen and throws food on your table and leaves. That it's really more about a holistic experience that I'm trying to provide, and that most people can see there's more value in that than just, a very specialized, I'm going to come in and make a rack of lamb and that's it. So I think my difficulty is in initial conversations with potential clients, making it sort of clear that I'm sort of a soup to nuts business. So
Yeah.
beginning to end, I shop and I cook and serve, but within that, I create playlists and I do amazing tablescapes
Oh my God.
and I bring people with me. I have a great team as needed. There are some parties that don't require it, but it's sort of, we do the whole party for you. So you're not, there's nothing left undone. And that's sort of, I think, brings more to the table than just having someone come cook dinner.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. Okay. And how are you finding most of the people that you're having these conversations with?
So I'm very lucky that my business has been, mostly word of mouth and referrals. So client referrals, there's a great community here in the Berkshires where I spend a lot of my time that I'm getting booked by referrals on Facebook pages. People in the area know about me. I just feel really fortunate that most of the clients I'm booking, it's because someone else really loved me and recommended me. And that's always a
Yeah.
great feeling to understand that, oh, they liked me and they liked me enough to tell someone else about me. So I've been, short of a very, very little bit of marketing, that has been the bulk of my business at this point.
Yeah, that's great and amazing, and obviously makes things a lot easier, because you don't have to, a lot of, as you were talking about, kind of the special things that you were doing, I was thinking, even though this is not what we do, right? Like, I'm not a marketing expert. I would just like to lay that huge caveat over the top of this conversation. But a lot of the things that I was thinking of were, like, how can you feature those things in social media and stuff like that? But that makes it a lot easier if it's word of mouth. And I guess I'm curious. So when you're having these conversations, word of mouth is super powerful from a conversion standpoint too, in terms of
Right.
converting them to customers. What are those conversations like? Like how? And I guess I'm curious about a couple of things. Like one, the length of time that you're spending, how many conversations, and like what kinds of things you talk about with them.
Yeah. So I sort of have a little framework of questions that I ask on the initial conversation. Some people
Okay.
come to the table sending me an email. We want this and we want this and we want this. And that can guide a conversation a little differently. But if someone just calls me and they're like, we're having 15 people for dinner, and I can go from there. I do have a nice little outline of, okay, do we have dietary restrictions, and what sort of a celebration, and what are there any major dislikes or things that you don't want? And I can create from there. I go and then either choose from menus that I've already created or create custom menus and send them a sort of package which includes my pricing. What I'm finding is maybe the pricing somehow needs to come in earlier, because I often spend a lot of time customizing a proposal for a client, and for them to come back and go, whoa, that was way outside what we were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of touchy in the initial conversation to say, okay, I sort of try to get an idea of budget, but those conversations aren't always the easiest to have on the initial meeting,
Yeah. Yeah. So you're emailing those questions, those initial ones you said?
So usually it's a phone conversation to begin with.
Okay.
I
Okay.
generally like to get, there's something to be said for having that kind of communication versus an email. I have gotten email requests before and gone forward completely that way without having a phone conversation later, and it's not necessarily worse. I just find
Mm-hmm.
that it's easier to sort of get an idea of the person, because all of this is sort of personal in a way that not every kind of business is. It's sort of,
Yeah.
and I have a good sense now after doing this for a while of what sort of person likes what sort of thing. I can get a better idea of just, simple things like tone of voice, energy level, that sort of thing. So it helps me
Yeah.
to
So that
proceed.
influences. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that influences what you do, like what you actually produce on the back, or not on the back end of things, but for the event itself.
Right. It does. It definitely
Got it.
does. Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that there would be an opportunity? So, you don't have an online business, but I wonder if there is a way to utilize some online tools initially, where maybe you have, instead of, I guess maybe you have a form that people can fill out with kind of I think there is something to be said about, especially if you are doing more of a customized, really high touch experience for them.
Mm.
There is something to be said about having that conversation. But I wonder if there's a way that you could, well, I guess two things I'm thinking of. One, that you could have a form that they fill out, that where you're getting that includes what their budget is. And then, you could, because your time is valuable, is
Right.
ultimately what it comes down
Right.
to, right? Like, these sales conversations are important, but like you were saying, you want to make sure that you're having them with the right people.
Right.
And so getting an idea of what their budget is, maybe and it could be like, you could ask maybe more logistical questions like what date are you, is
Mm,
your event, what's your budget, those types of things, which, those probably aren't as telling to you about like what things would be special for them on that day. Um,
right.
and then that would weed out, so that could weed out some of the people that are, that are not in the budget range that you're looking for.
Hmm.
And maybe even upfront, and I guess this could be upfront or kind of in between the time that they fill out that form and the time that you actually get a chance to talk with
To
them.
sit down and talk.
Provide, yeah,
Yeah.
provide like an example, I guess. Like, some of the things that I was thinking of is that's amazing that you are doing a playlist, that you do these tablescapes, that you've got all of these things. And so I wonder if there's a way that you can show them that kind of experience without without you having to kind of justify it
Right.
all the whole time, right? But like,
Right.
if there's I don't, and I'm not sure. I mean, it could be as easy as like putting together a sheet that gets emailed to them right
Right.
away.
I think that would be so. There's, I should say, there's a very, my demographic, the people that are booking me are similar in income level and that sort of thing. So something that it's weeding out is a funny thing to say because it's not as if I'm
Right.
getting referred to for people who are like, yeah, we want hot dogs and hamburgers, and it's so I like the idea of a form that I can email right away. However, these things don't always, I think the word I'm looking for without being ageist is like
Yeah.
probably our mom's generation are a lot of
Yeah.
clients that I'm booking. And when I book clients that are maybe our generation and I'm making, we could be a few years apart in age, I'm not sure. But
Right.
I'm they're they really want to go for that conversation. So a short form
Mm,
that I could just email or a way to do those questions would be great because
yeah.
and there's also the idea that some people say, oh, that's not what we're thinking of for this event, but we want to keep you in mind for the future. So it's not always wasted time. But when I'm coming into a really busy season, like right now, I don't have time to do a custom menu for 4 people who are going to say, oh, no, that's not what we want, or that's not what we were thinking of spending. So I do
Right.
like the idea of that form. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it could be really basic, and maybe, I mean, I don't know what this looks like, and maybe this is, um, you know, because I get not, well, I don't know. You haven't really said that, but I wonder if there is also an opportunity too for you to develop, I'm sure you already even have these, develop relationships with people who are doing things, not at a lower budget or in a
Hmm.
lower budget range, that you could refer these clients to and potentially get, a referral fee or something like that. Or maybe that's even down the road something that you would want to add to your business, that you have kind of you have this like bespoke
Hmm.
portion of your business,
Hmm.
and then this more like, you know, no disrespect, but like a little more down and dirty catering kind
Right.
of
Right.
things, which
It's
I don't know if
definitely something
you're
I've thought
interested.
about. It's definitely something
Yeah.
I've thought about. I have, this is like admitting a challenge. Scaling in either direction or the other is something that, it I sort of hit roadblocks immediately just because
Mm,
I'm a creative and I want to mostly be in the kitchen and be doing the thing.
yeah.
And the scalability part that brings in a lot of admin is where I find myself, at impasses often, and it's myself. It's challenges as I'm a micro business entrepreneur. I don't have a full-time staff. It's myself and then staff that I hire per event. And sometimes I'll bring someone in to help with different things, like during a busy week to prep. But for the most part, it's me. So in those areas where I'm challenged, it's where it tends to slow me down. So the automation of something like a form, I love. The idea of how to make that referral situation work is a question that's come up for me before. How would that look, and how could I do something like that? I do know other chefs in the areas where I work, both in New York and here, and we're sort of in line price-wise in the same place. And there's sort of a little bit of an agreement that we don't go way outside of that, because then it messes up our market. We don't want people to think, oh, there's somebody who can do it for $25 a person, because that kind of undermines the market that we're in. But it's absolutely a question that I've asked before of how that could work.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about that is that you could, if you have, three or four people so you get this form, and you could even set it up. So there's a way that you could set it up where, you give them budget ranges to choose from, like in a drop down. And if they choose, one below what your range is or what you're willing to do, it could just automatically send them either an email or send them to another landing page that says, thank you so much for for inquiring. That, unfortunately, I don't know, say it in a tactful way, right?
Like, unfortunately.
Yeah. And then you could have, but here are some amazing recommendations that we have for other people in the area or in your area, or, that you could reach out to. And then that maybe provides a link or something to those individuals. And because you're referring to the same people every time, you could just have a relationship where, like, depending on what their business looks like, that is something that they could automate, that every time somebody comes to them through this link, or then you automatically get paid. Or maybe that's something that you reconcile with them once a month, because you can track that information. And so then that becomes, I don't know how significant of a revenue source that would be, but at least
probably,
I think the most important thing.
But it would be good, if nothing else, to know, sort of where things are funneling.
Totally. And let's be honest, you don't have to get on the phone with that person. Right. So like, if these conversations are taking 30 minutes to an hour, that's for every person that, just automatically goes to somebody else, that saves you an hour, or whatever time. It saves you. I'm sure that it actually is probably more than an hour, right? Because you're coordinating a time to meet with them.
I'm coordinating. Generally, it's not always a in-person meeting. Generally, it's a phone call, but it is time and thought put towards, trying to create something special for them, and without being tactless and saying, okay, how much are you willing to spend? And then having to do that. Okay, this isn't going to work. Because I have convinced people that, oh, this is worth it. Oh, and she's going to do all of that, and we don't have to worry about anything. Okay. And then they do. So I suppose some sort of a way to present it initially, that this is really an all service kind of thing. It's everything from start to finish, along with a form that sort of people who are, no matter what, they weren't going to spend that amount, can sort of find what they are looking for.
Yeah. And if there's, if they're like me, sometimes there are, sometimes I have a number in my head that is just a number that is pretty arbitrary of what I'm willing to pay. But so I could see myself potentially filling out this form and getting kicked to, getting this email or this landing page that says, you know what, this isn't really for you. Here are some other options, and being like, but wait, I could pay a little bit more, right? And then I could reach out to you directly and say, look, I actually am really interested. It sounds amazing. And so it seems like you actually have two opportunities. One is to pull back on the number of people that you're meeting with that are just a hard no, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're just not in a place to pay that amount. Um, and so to eliminate the amount of time that you're investing in those people. And then there also seems to be an opportunity to convert, which I don't love that word in this scenario, I guess, but the people that you actually do get on the phone with, to make sure that they see the value
Right.
in what you're providing. And so, I wonder if there's a way on the front end, like before they're filling out the form, to convey that value a little bit more, and then before they even get on the phone with you, to really let them know what they're
Right.
getting with you, so that they come into it knowing
That
that and super
that
pumped
is,
about
I
it.
mean, I'm so happy we're having this conversation. My website is under construction. It's getting
Yeah.
revamped right now because I had a bunch of professional photos taken, so I wanted to just switch everything up. So it's good that we're
Exciting.
having this conversation, that I can, really be thinking about employing some new, a few different guidelines.
Yeah, and maybe, I mean, again, not a marketing person, but I wonder if there are ways that you can incorporate all of the things that you provide for your events as an experience on that website. So, like a playlist, music
Absolutely.
playing when they go to, right? Like, how
Absolutely.
fun.
Absolutely. It's that has been the challenge in looking at the website, and sort of like how, because the people that really love me and that talk about me and that refer me to other people, they say wonderful things, but it's sort of like, you just have to hire Megan. You have to
Right.
hire her. You just have to have her at your house. She's great. And how do I, it's hard enough for them to talk about it.
Right.
How do I describe that? It's the me-ness. It's that part of, which also presents another challenge in sort of scaling up. Sort of like,
Yeah.
I can only be one me. So
Yeah. But if you want to
that's
be the person that's being you at these events, which it sounds like you do, I mean, you could just focus on, as you scale and grow, just focus on having people that are handling more of the scheduling and coordination, so that you do just show up to the event and provide the magic,
right.
right?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that's that is ideal. That is the
Yeah.
little bit of the little controlling bit that's inside me, that I just need to let go, that last little bit that lets
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it. And I'm booking more and more larger events now that people are happy to gather again. Are having
Yeah.
lots and lots of larger, getting, 100-person or between 80 and 100 people events. And I have squared away a significant team where I have people
Good.
that I know I can put in charge of this, and they sort of see my vision, and we can work together. And that's been really nice to see myself sort of put something in someone else's hands and trust that they can do it. Took me a
Yeah.
very, very long time to get there, where it didn't have to be me hands on in every station all the time, because people would call for
Yeah.
larger
That's
events, and I'd say, no way, I'm not going to do an
yeah.
event that big. How can I possibly do that?
Yeah.
And now it's sort of been that, okay, I can sort of trust that this person knows my brand and the level of service that I commit to. And it's been helpful. So I think doing more of that in going forward will certainly be helpful as well.
Yeah. I mean, congratulations. That is a huge step as an entrepreneur, and not an easy one. And that perfection thing is so interesting. I actually just recorded something a couple of days ago about this, that's something that almost every person that I work with, every client that I work with talks about, is that they're just like they feel like they have to let go of that
Hmm.
perfection in order to grow. And I will just say, I know that this was not the intention of our conversation, but I will just say that if you can, now that you've been doing it yourself, right, you have a pretty good idea of of what it looks like, what you want. And I think especially in the kind of industry that you're in, it's easy to just like pass that information off one at a time. And
Right.
I would just encourage you to like type it out, like even just on a piece of paper, or like record a video or something of you
Hmm.
talking about all of the things that you, I mean, first you probably have to like sit down and think of like walk yourself through an event and all of the things that you think about, all of the things that you watch for, look for, all of that kind of stuff. And as soon as, because it comes so naturally to you, but it
Right.
doesn't come naturally to other people. And, but it can, right?
Hmm.
Like, or I shouldn't say it can't come naturally, but like they can still do it. Just because it doesn't, it's not something that pops into their
Right.
mind doesn't mean they're not able to do it. But what
Oh,
makes you
absolutely.
so amazing is that it is supernatural,
Right.
so natural that you don't even think about it, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But there are, there is something to be said for, I think, seeing how other people would do it, even within a business that's so personal to me. And it hasn't necessarily been disappointing when people that I trust and trust, their taste level come in and make a decision. And I'm like, oh, you know what? That sort of is okay. I didn't
Yeah.
have to be, so it's sort of, it was challenging, but I found, I think, the right people that are sort of my key people, or my captains, as you would say, if you were in a restaurant, that I can sort of say, oh, okay, I can give you this, like, head in that direction. And then what you do when you get there, I trust it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. And a
that's been the
really
great
beautiful
thing.
way to think about it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's awesome. And then I guess so we should are kind of running up against the clock a little bit here, but I do want to ask a little bit about, since you are, working on the website now,
Hmm.
and one of the things that you had said is that it's kind of tough to figure out the language and the words to use to talk about what you do.
Right.
And I realize that the people that are recommending you, it is hard for them to, when they're talking about you to other people, it is hard for them to articulate all the things.
Hmm.
But I wonder, are you clear on what they love about what you do and why?
Um, I don't know that I am. It's sort of that mystical, it's like trying to describe an aura. It's sort of like
Yeah.
I have I have this way of being pretty, really very conscientious about people's spaces and their homes. And I cook in beautiful homes and some of the most beautiful kitchens you've ever seen. And I have a lot of respect for that, and I take care in being in beautiful spaces. So yeah, I don't know how I would describe or translate my sort of conscientiousness and appreciation for their style, and how I sort of mix in my style with theirs and make it sort of seamless. And the words that I have come up with that I would sort of bullet point that people like, I think, and that are sort of marketing magic words, like boutique is one of the
Mhm.
words. Um, Custom, people like hearing garden and farm to table.
Yeah.
People like if they're doing something outdoor, people love the word enchanted and
Mm.
enchanting, like outdoor dinner parties in the summer with lots of twinkle lights and things like that. People love. So I don't know how I, evoke that feeling with the proper language. It is definitely something that I've been working in my head for a while.
Yeah, I think so. This is a formula, and you probably worked with this before, but a formula for how to talk about your work, because whether you own a business or you're an employee somewhere, like everybody has this challenge.
Yeah.
But if you can identify, say, you work with X and you like oh my gosh, I'm totally drawing a blank. It's you work with X, so the type of people that you work with.
Hmm.
So that could be like something like I work with with hosts in their beautiful homes, or something like that. People who want to showcase their homes, or
Right.
I mean, I don't know exactly what it is, but you work with them. Let me think about this for a minute. Oh, what you do. So you know, create these delicious meals, these incredible experiences,
Hmm.
um, and and then what that brings, what that means for them. So that, I mean, you've kind of said it even in some of the information that you had shared with me before this, that you know, you work with these hosts, you cook them amazing meals, create these amazing experiences, and what they get to do is really enjoy themselves at their events,
Right.
right? So there's stress free. And I also think that there's something to be said about, so you know, that's like a formula that you can use. And I think in terms of like the wording, I like the garden and farm to table and the enchanted, that to me kind of puts you, even though that's what you're doing, kind of puts you in a space that a lot of people are trying to play in right now. And but I also love what you said about, you're really conscientious of their space, and you have an appreciation for their style.
Right.
And so I think that like it could be that you work with event, or you know, event hosts who are really who really want to showcase their style in the
Yeah.
events, or
Yeah.
really want somebody to, right, like,
Hmm.
because that's really special, and unique, and that's worth, to me, that's worth more than like a farm to table experience. I'm like,
Right.
well, I mean, I'm not your ideal customer, but like I would be like, well, I could just go on Pinterest and figure out how to do that, right? Like I know that
Right.
what you're going to do is extra special, but like even talking about like the twinkly lights, like imagine inviting all of your favorite people to your backyard under, you know, under the moon, or under these twinkly lights,
Yeah.
surrounded by amazing food, all, you know, all
Right.
with your style infused in it, right? Like I
Hmm.
feel like there's, you can tell a story, uh, um, like I feel like, I don't know if you're like me, but in marketing I sometimes find that I'm like looking for the perfect word instead of the
Right.
perfect explanation.
Right. Right. No,
Or
I have that too. I
yeah,
have,
yeah,
I if people would sit down and just read a short story when they came to my website, then I could definitely
yeah,
do this. But no,
yeah.
it's good to have this conversation about what will best convey the idea and the feeling that
Yeah,
I'm
because I think, I mean, what you're offering is so amazing. And I think, you know, like you said, if they really understood what what they were getting, it's not just, you're not just putting platters out for people to
I
nosh
mean,
on. Like,
I go into kitchens and hosts are sort of like, okay, let me show you where everything is and then we'll do, and I'm sort of like, I'll find it, like it's
right,
sort of like,
right.
go, let me
Oh,
make you a cocktail, go sit on your beautiful screened in porch and I've got it. It's sort of like
that's amazing.
that
That right
that's the
there.
sort of thing that I do that's different from other people, because it's like
Yeah,
I'm comfortable. This is my space, and this is not an accidental career. It's sort of brought
yeah,
together a bunch of different things I've done in the past that allow me, to sort of, just I serve in that way. That's sort of like,
yeah.
let me actually do it all for you.
Yeah, and there's that right there. Like, I feel like you are providing an elegant, stress-free event from start to finish,
Right.
right? Like that's powerful. There's, because I can't even tell you the number of, you know, parties that I've been to that are, you know, like they're kind of like families that do like one big party every year, and it's a
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
right? Like, and the family is so freaking stressed out. Like, if you're there at all early, they're running around the kitchen
It's a
trying to manage all
blur.
of this.
It's
Yeah,
like they don't enjoy themselves, and I that's the thing I want when I leave. That is what I want to leave people with. Like, that's the best party
Yeah,
we've ever had. And I didn't have to do anything.
totally.
And I came in the kitchen and someone
Totally.
was sweeping the floor. Oh my God, the idea.
That's it right there.
It's
That's the
like,
best party I've ever had, and I didn't have to lift a finger or
right,
something, right? Like
right.
that is it. Like top of the page. I mean, obviously for your clientele, you probably want to say it in like a little classier way, but if you can if you just have that sentence front and center on your page, like
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. This is awesome. I just want to check in and see, was any of this, so this was awesome for me, but I want to check in and see, was this helpful at all for
Absolutely.
you?
I am definitely going to figure out how that form can be worded, first of all, because I think we touched on a couple of different ways that it can be helpful. And
Yeah.
that's going to be something that I definitely employ in my website. That could be a time saver, and just, yeah. So I'm not sort of getting in deeper than I need to with the wrong client.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good. And let
Yeah.
me know if you need help figuring out the form. I am
Oh,
happy
I
to,
will. I
yeah, point
absolutely
you
will.
in the
Thank
right
you.
direction. But
Thank you.
yeah. Yeah. And I also just want to point out that, I think what you made this point a couple of times, and I think it's just really important is that, these automations exist and they're very helpful. And I think a lot of, especially for a business like yours, it can be a little scary because it seems like it's taking um, that personal touch away, which is very
Right.
valuable to what you do. And so, there is absolutely a way, like if it starts to feel like it's gone too far
Hmm.
in the impersonal direction, there is a way to find a happy medium. And I think obviously it's important to find that. So it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to go all the way over the edge into automation land where you've got like robots in the
Right.
kitchen cooking the food for
Right.
people. Um,
I think
but
that there's going to be a number of clients that I just won't fill out a form anyway, and we'll just call the phone number on the bottom. Like, that's just going to be,
yeah,
that's something that I'm okay with that too.
yeah,
But if
yeah.
if there are enough that it sort of saves me that time, that then that's great. It's really
Yeah,
great.
awesome. Cool. Well, thank you, Megan, for doing
Thank you
this.
so much
I'm
for having
so
me.
grateful. Yeah, and it was super fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I love just hearing about people's businesses and just learning the behind the scenes. So I'm super grateful for you being willing to do
Oh,
that.
thank you. I was really, really happy to be here, and this is wonderful.
Good.
This is a great
Good. Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also, I totally spaced, but will you share with us how people can find you, how they can work with you, how they can find
Sure.
out more about what you do?
So everything across the board is Megan Lawrence Cooks. I'm Megan Lawrence Cooks at gmail.com, and I cook all over the country. I travel, if the price is right, I'll go wherever you are, but I spend a lot of time on the West Coast in Southern California, Los Angeles, Orange County, New York City and surrounding areas, and then the Berkshires in Massachusetts. So if you're in any of those three areas, reach out and maybe we can book something. My Instagram, if you want to see really fun and beautiful food photos,
Mm.
is at Megan Lawrence Cooks. And my website, which should be up and running within the next few weeks, is
Woo.
meganlawrencecooks.com.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
Megan,
you.
so much. I'm so grateful.
Excellent. Great talking with you, Angie. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.